Imagine sitting in a room where the fate of global elections, the mental health of teenagers, and the daily routines of 3 billion people are entirely in your hands. Now imagine being just a few decades old, wearing a simple grey t-shirt, while politicians twice your age struggle to understand how a basic internet connection works. This was the surreal reality for Mark Zuckerberg during his congressional testimonies, a moment that perfectly encapsulated the ultimate paradox of the modern era. A quiet kid from the suburbs had quietly built a digital empire so vast and influential that it rewired the human nervous system, turning him into the most powerful, scrutinized, and misunderstood architect of the 21st century. His story is not just about writing code or building a website, it is the epic tale of how one human mind engineered the digital public square and forever altered the trajectory of human interaction. The genesis of this unprecedented digital empire began in the quiet, affluent suburb of Dobbs Ferry, New York, where Mark was born in May 1984. He was raised in an environment that highly valued intellect, education, and technological fluency. His father, a prominent dentist, integrated early computer systems into his practice, bringing an Atari computer into the house in the late 1980s. His mother worked as a psychiatrist, providing a fascinating duality in his upbringing. From his father, he absorbed the analytical, problem-solving mindset of a medical professional and a deep comfort with technology. From his mother, he gained a foundational understanding of human psychology and behavior. This unique household dynamic provided Mark with a dual perspective that would later become the secret weapon of his business model. He quickly realized that computers could be used to build systems that connected people and automated complex tasks. His first major technological creation was ZuckNet, a sophisticated messaging system he developed to connect his family's home with his father's dental office. This early project allowed him to receive instant notifications when patients arrived, showcasing his innate desire to optimize communication and eliminate friction in daily tasks. As he grew older, his skills attracted the attention of software developers and computer scientists who recognized the sheer magnitude of his talent. While still in high school at Phillips Exeter Academy, he built a music player program called Synapse Media Player, which utilized machine learning to understand a user's listening habits and recommend new songs. The software was so advanced that major technology companies, including Microsoft and AOL, attempted to recruit him and purchase the rights to his creation. Despite these lucrative offers, Mark chose to decline them, opting instead to attend Harvard University, a decision that would ultimately alter the trajectory of global communication. Arriving at Harvard in the fall of 2002, Mark found himself in an environment defined by rigid social hierarchies, exclusive final clubs, and a deeply entrenched culture of prestige. The university's social fabric was woven with exclusivity, and the traditional methods of connecting with peers were often slow and inefficient. Recognizing the disconnect between the digital fluency of his generation and the analog social structures of the university, he began developing applications to navigate and disrupt this environment. His first major project at Harvard was Course Match, a tool that allowed students to see which classes their peers were taking and to form study groups based on shared academic interests. While useful, it was his next project that truly revealed his understanding of viral mechanics and human curiosity. He created a program called FaceMash, which pulled photographs from the university's online directories and placed them side by side, asking users to vote on who was more attractive. The site was an immediate, chaotic success, crashing the university's servers due to the overwhelming traffic. However, it also sparked immediate outrage from student groups and university administrators, who condemned the unauthorized use of personal photographs and the objectification of the student body. Mark quickly took the site down and issued an apology, but the experience was a crucial learning moment. It taught him the explosive power of social validation, the mechanics of viral growth, and the intense public backlash that accompanies the disruption of established social norms. He realized that if he could channel the immense human desire for social connection and validation into a more constructive, controlled platform, he could build something unprecedented. This realization culminated in the early months of 2004, when he began coding a new project in his Kirkland House dorm room. Working in intense, marathon coding sessions, he built a social network specifically designed for the Harvard community. He named it the Facebook. Unlike previous social platforms that were anonymous or focused on niche interests, his creation required users to verify their identity with a university email address. This insistence on real identities was a radical departure from the anonymous culture of the early Internet. He believed that people would behave more authentically and engage more deeply if they were interacting behind their actual names. The site launched on February 4, 2004, and within 24 hours, more than half of the undergraduate population had registered. The viral spread was instantaneous and undeniable. Recognizing the massive potential of the platform, he quickly expanded the network to other Ivy League institutions, and then to universities across the United States and Canada. The platform's clean, minimalist interface, characterized by its simple blue and white color scheme, stood in stark contrast to the cluttered, highly personalized pages of its competitors. It was fast, intuitive, and focused entirely on the user's social graph. To manage the rapidly growing enterprise, he brought in his high school friend Dustin Moskovitz, as well as fellow Harvard students Chris Hughes and Andrew McCallum. They also partnered with Eduardo Saverin, who provided the initial seed funding for server costs. However, as the platform's valuation skyrocketed, the dynamics among the founders began to fracture. The transition from a college project to a multi-million-dollar corporate entity required a level of business acumen and ruthless decision-making that created deep friction within the original team. The pivotal moment in the company's early corporate history was the decision to relocate the operations to Palo Alto, California, for the summer of 2004. This move immersed the young founders in the heart of Silicon Valley, exposing them to the aggressive, fast-paced culture of venture capital and tech entrepreneurship. It was here that they connected with Sean Parker, a seasoned entrepreneur and the founder of Napster, who became the company's first president. Parker provided invaluable mentorship, guiding them through the complex landscape of venture capital and helping them secure a crucial investment from Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal. This injection of capital allowed the company to stabilize its infrastructure and plan for aggressive expansion beyond the collegiate sphere. The expansion to high schools and eventually the general public in 2006 marked a critical turning point. The platform was no longer just a tool for college students, it was becoming the default digital infrastructure for human social interaction. However, this rapid growth also attracted intense legal scrutiny. The Winklevoss twins and their business partner Divya Narendra claimed that Mark had stolen their idea for a social networking site called Connect2. The ensuing legal battle was a highly publicized ordeal that lasted for years and cost the company millions in settlements. While the legal disputes were draining, they also forged Mark's defensive and highly controlled leadership style. He learned to fiercely protect his intellectual property and maintain absolute authority over the company's strategic direction, eventually restructuring the corporate ownership to dilute the shares of his early partners and secure his own voting control. As the user base swelled into the hundreds of millions, the challenge of monetization became paramount. The company initially relied on simple banner ads, but Mark envisioned a much more sophisticated advertising model based on deep user data and behavioral targeting. He understood that the true value of the platform lay not just in the number of users, but in the granular understanding of their interests, relationships, and habits. This led to the introduction of the news feed in 2006, a revolutionary feature that aggregated all user activity into a single, continuously updating stream. The launch of the news feed was met with immediate and fierce backlash. Privacy advocates and users alike protested, arguing that the feature exposed too much personal information and facilitated stalking. Despite the intense pressure and public outcry, Mark refused to remove the feature. He correctly calculated that the underlying human desire to know what friends were doing outweighed the initial privacy concerns. He simply adjusted the privacy settings to give users more control, but the core functionality remained. This decision proved to be a masterstroke, as the newsfeed became the primary engine for user engagement and the foundation of the company's massive advertising revenue. The transition to the mobile era in the early 2010s presented an existential threat to the company. As users shifted their attention from desktop computers to smartphones, the platform's engagement metrics began to plateau. Recognizing that failure to adapt to mobile would result in irrelevance, Mark initiated a massive internal restructuring to prioritize mobile development. Simultaneously, he executed a series of aggressive and highly controversial acquisitions to secure the company's dominance in the mobile social landscape. In 2012, he authorized the purchase of Instagram, a rapidly growing photo-sharing application, for $1 billion. At the time, the price tag seemed exorbitant for a company with no revenue, but Mark recognized that Instagram was capturing the mobile-first, visually driven behavior of younger demographics. 2 years later, he acquired WhatsApp, a global messaging service, for a staggering $19 billion. These acquisitions neutralized potential competitors and ensured that the company owned the primary social and communication platforms across multiple formats and demographics. However, the immense power and reach of the platform inevitably attracted severe scrutiny regarding its impact on society. The company faced mounting criticism over the spread of misinformation, the proliferation of hate speech, and the psychological impact of its algorithms on user mental health, particularly among teenagers. The breaking point arrived in 2018 with the Cambridge Analytica scandal. It was revealed that a political consulting firm had harvested the personal data of tens of millions of users without their explicit consent to influence electoral campaigns. The revelation sent shockwaves through the global community, sparking investigations by governments worldwide and igniting a fierce public debate about data privacy and the ethical responsibilities of technology monopolies. Mark was forced to testify before the United States Congress, facing intense questioning from lawmakers who struggled to understand the technical complexities of his business model. These hearings marked a significant shift in his public persona, transforming him from a celebrated tech visionary into a highly scrutinized custodian of a controversial digital monopoly. Despite the intense public and regulatory pressure, Mark remained steadfast in his belief that connecting people was a fundamentally positive force. He argued that the platform gave a voice to the voiceless, allowed marginalized communities to organize, and enabled small businesses to reach global markets. To address the criticisms, he invested billions of dollars in content moderation, artificial intelligence to detect harmful content, and partnerships with independent fact-checkers. He also shifted the company's stated mission from connecting friends to building community, emphasizing the importance of meaningful social interactions over passive consumption. This philosophical shift was deeply intertwined with his personal evolution and his growing focus on philanthropy and global health. His personal life underwent a profound transformation when he met Priscilla Chan, a medical student and pediatrician, at a fraternity party. Their relationship grounded him, introducing a perspective focused on empathy, public health, and long-term societal impact. When they married and subsequently had children, Mark's worldview expanded beyond the optimization of software code to the optimization of human well-being. Together, they launched the Chan-Zuckerberg initiative, pledging to transfer 99% of their shares over their lifetimes to advance human potential and promote equality for all children in the next generation. The initiative focuses on personalized learning, curing all diseases, and building strong, inclusive communities. This massive commitment to philanthropy demonstrated a maturation of his priorities, showing a desire to use his vast resources to solve some of the world's most intractable problems. As the company navigated the complexities of the late 2010s, Mark began to look toward the next major paradigm shift in computing. He became increasingly convinced that the smartphone, while revolutionary, was not the final form factor for human-computer interaction. He envisioned a future where digital experiences were not confined to flat screens, but were integrated seamlessly into the physical world through virtual and augmented reality. This vision led to the company's massive investments in Oculus, a virtual reality hardware manufacturer, and the development of advanced spatial computing technologies. In 2021, he executed one of the most significant corporate rebrandings in history, changing the parent company's name from Facebook to Meta. This rebranding was a clear signal to the world that the company's future was not just in social networking, but in building the metaverse, an immersive, persistent digital environment where people could work, play, and connect in three-dimensional space. The pivot to the metaverse was met with widespread skepticism from investors, technologists, and the general public, many of whom viewed virtual reality as a niche interest and questioned the billions of dollars being poured into unproven hardware. Critics argued that the company was distracting itself from its core business while facing intense regulatory threats in its existing markets. However, Mark remained entirely unfazed by the short-term market fluctuations and public doubt. He operated with the long-term horizon of a founder who had already survived multiple technological shifts. He believed that just as the personal computer and the Internet had fundamentally altered human civilization, spatial computing would be the next great leap, and he was determined to build the foundational infrastructure for this new reality. Throughout his journey, Mark's leadership style has been characterized by a relentless focus on engineering solutions, a high tolerance for risk, and an unwavering commitment to his own vision. He is known for his deep technical knowledge, often participating in code reviews and product design meetings, ensuring that the company's output aligns with his exacting standards. He has cultivated a corporate culture that values speed, iteration, and the willingness to make bold, sometimes unpopular, decisions. While his early corporate motto of moving fast and breaking things was eventually modified to reflect a more mature approach to global responsibility, the core ethos of rapid innovation and continuous iteration remains the bedrock of his organizational philosophy. The legacy of Mark Zuckerberg is inherently dualistic. He is the architect of a platform that has democratized information, connected billions of isolated individuals, and empowered countless social movements. Yet, he is also the custodian of a digital ecosystem that has been weaponized for political manipulation, accused of eroding mental health, and criticized for its monopolistic practices. He has fundamentally rewired the human nervous system, creating a world where the boundaries between the physical and the digital are increasingly blurred. His life and work serve as a profound case study in the power of technology to scale human connection, and the immense, often unforeseen consequences that accompany such unprecedented scale. As he continues to steer his massive enterprise into the uncharted territories of artificial intelligence, spatial computing, and global connectivity initiatives, Mark Zuckerberg remains one of the most influential and polarizing figures of the modern era. He is no longer just the college dropout who built a website. He is a global leader shaping the very fabric of human interaction for generations to come. His story is a testament to the power of visionary thinking, the relentless pursuit of optimization, and the profound responsibility that comes with building the infrastructure of the digital age. Whether viewed as a pioneer who brought the world closer together, or a technocrat who commodified human attention, his impact on the trajectory of human history is undeniable, permanent, and still unfolding.